only thing we do. But since we are not funded by tax money or anything like that, we also need to have a business model. So we have an office which is 2,000 square meters in the middle of Stockholm, which we basically rent out as an office hotel for relevant companies. We also have members among large companies and among small companies who pays us a little bit of money. So that's who we are and what we do. Our focus is basically on industry, infrastructure, utilities, and mobility. Or in other words, I always say everything that's difficult, everything that relates to the physical world, which is from a technology point of view, much more challenging. And that's also why we ended up with this wonderful little word of deep tech that somebody figured out. Before that, we had to mention everything we do, and over and over again. So today we have something like 120 Swedish Things members and alumnus in one corner, and we have 45 corporates who are members in our Things Enterprise Circle. About 1/3 of the enterprises are international or foreign, and the others are Swedish-based. We started to learn in the beginning on actually how to meet between large and small companies and how to behave when you meet. So that was a lot of practicing and teaching, actually. Specifically for the larger companies, we had to teach them on how to deal with proper startups. And after having tried that with workshops that we designed for specifically for large companies, with small companies, helping them to understand better or get more information about the topic, we decided to make that a national platform in Sweden and spin that out into something that became Ignite Sweden. And Ignite Sweden has for about 3 years now become a big success. I think they have together had something like 2,500-3,000 meetings scheduled, planned, followed up between a large and a small company, which is fantastic. We continue to follow the larger companies, and the small companies we work with, they are focusing on those areas where we focus, and they're also ready to start and engage in a business relationship with large companies. So many would call them probably scale-ups or something like that, but that's the kind of companies we would like to work with. Those are the ones who are ready to work with large companies. We also work with the rookies of that class. So companies who are almost there, who we can kind of help and coach to become one of those ready companies. That's really what we do. And that's why we decided to invent this eBazaar. Because nowadays, with Corona and all of that, it's become very difficult to follow on projects they are engaged in, the large companies, and it's even more complicated to close new deals and so forth. So we decided to start to use a video conference platform to make it easier for our smaller companies to meet and find relevant people in relevant large companies, partners, investors, media, and analysts abroad and globally. And that's what we do. So we have a test batch of 5 bazaars. This is number 4. We have done one on Industry 4.0. We've done smart utilities, and we've done one on AI before in about 6 weeks, all of those 3. And we had about 150 attendees from listening to 18 pitches before. And it's going very well. And today I have the big pleasure to introduce you to what we're doing in smart buildings. And we are doing this event together with one of the main partners of Things, NCC, which is a top tier construction company here in Sweden, and a main partner of Things. So they help us to promote the event and so forth. So thank you, NCC. So the way this is going to work, it's me. I'm trying to moderate this. I'm talking quite in length now because we need to make sure that everybody is signing up properly, so we don't start too early. But I will soon stop, and I will introduce the first speaker. They will take over the screen. They have about 10 minutes to present themselves. We follow up with questions. The audience are asked to provide questions over the chat. And if we have time, we will actually try to get the questions responded to. We are really strict on time because this event becomes too long if we don't manage time properly. You have to know that we send out the post-event email to everybody, including the contact details to all the presenting companies, and also some follow-up questions and so forth. And of course, information about how you can engage more closely with things as a member or as a Things Enterprise Circle member. So that's about what I was planning to say. We are filming this video, and we are publishing it on our YouTube channel, Things YouTube channel. So it's important to remember that everything said and done here is actually somewhere in digital format available outside of the conference call as well. We also use that information in bits and pieces for our social media and so forth. With that, I think we are ready to start. And I would like to welcome our first speaker, who is Kenneth from OurGreenCar. Are you ready,
Yeah.
Kenneth?
I'm ready. Let me start sharing here, and we will see. I have a bit of an internet connectivity problem, so I guess that will be taken from my time slot, but I'll try to figure it out really quick.
Great. So let's remove the back. That's excellent.
Let's see. Does everyone see this?
Yes.
Excellent. I'll just enlarge it. So my name is Kenneth Falk. I'm one of the co-founders of OurGreenCar. We're a Swedish company based in southern Sweden, Malmö. So for you guys that's not too familiar with Sweden, that's pretty much really as south as you get in Sweden. We've been around for 2.5 years, and we actually started out as, well, 2.5 years ago, me and two friends of mine, we sat around and we discussed the whole mobility service that was provided in Sweden by that time. And do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. There was pretty much only one big act when it came to that kind of company in Sweden. So we thought that somebody should bring some competition to the table with something more sustainable and with more alternatives when you rent vehicles other than just cars, especially fossil cars. That was pretty much the only thing that was available. So little did we know then that we would actually be the company that would compete with that large company 2 years later. But that's pretty much how it went. Oh, sorry, I just got a pop-up. The host has asked you to start your video. All right, it's the recording thing, I think. If you just excuse me, I will try to set. Yeah, do you still see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, is there like a box with text in front of it? Like a notification or something? No?
Okay, it was just
excellent.
me. It's Linda here. I was just asking you to start your video so we can actually see you while you're speaking.
Sorry, I apologize for that. Let's see. What actually happened when that popped out for me? My mouse actually disappears, so I can't see the mouse right now, but I'll try to orientate
Otherwise, no
it.
worries. Otherwise, no worries.
Yeah. Hopefully that's it, right?
Great.
See me now? All right, so I'll just continue. So we're a mobility service provider in your house, and the last bit there is actually one of our key selling points. So we offer electrical vehicles. It can be bicycles, cars, mopeds, cargo bikes, and we implement a really good booking system in which you can book and unlock and lock your vehicles, whether it's a car or a bike. So totally keyless. We have eco-friendly cleaning of all our vehicles. We take care of everything when it comes to the traditional car owning questions like service, maintenance, tire change and such. And we have a really good customer care. So the whole idea, the reason why we got invented to this when the theme was smart buildings is because we've actually gone to be a provider for pretty much all the largest real estate developers in Sweden with our solutions. So traditionally, when it comes to carpools and vehicle pools, you have your fleetless carpool, you have a couple of cars placed out in the city. It might be quite a far distance from where you actually live and where you want to where your outpost is. So if a vehicle is 300, 400, 500, 600 yards from your home, you will be feeling that this is not a good solution for me. It's too long of a walk. As soon as you have a couple of grocery bags, or if it rains 500 yards or meters, it's a long way to walk. So the whole idea with OurGreenCar is that we set out these solutions in your house, in your building, and that can be a larger company, and that could be a small house or a larger complex. It can be a whole area we set out our vehicle pools for. But the whole idea is for you to have the vehicle type that you need for the trip you need, and in your direct near. So it's supposed to be very, very close to your home. So that's pretty much it. So you choose the vehicle, you book, unlock, and you drive. So if we look today at our real estate development oriented customers, as I said, these logos here might be unrecognizable for a lot of people abroad of Sweden, but a couple of them is definitely international. So as of now, we do vehicle pools for the companies you see here in Sweden. We are shortly going abroad Sweden as well. But as of now, we definitely have building a new real estate complex in the 20th century should definitely include some kind of mobility service in it, as you take for granted a dishwasher. So that's pretty much it, actually. I took some time in the beginning, but I would like to leave you some time as well for questions and stuff.
Great. Thank you, Kenneth. So let's see if we have any questions in the chat, or feel free to post any questions there if you like. So meanwhile, how long have you been going with your company, Kenneth?
2.5 years, yeah. And it kind of took off for real 1 year ago. Then we really started to get a lot of traction, yeah.
Are you, from a financial point of view, do you have investors, or are you self-funded, or how do you play that?
Well, E.ON, one of the largest electrical companies in Europe, they went in early in a kind of pre-seed investment. That was in the end of 2018. So we have an investment. They have a smaller ownership in the company. And E.ON, they are as well providers of electrical, the charging posts. So we have a good collaboration with E.ON there. But other than that, we haven't got any other investments. So we'll see. Everything is, since this is going out on the internet, I don't want to disclose too much of business secrets, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's very wise. You shouldn't. I have a couple of questions from the audience. In Canada, we have Car2Go. Would this sort of compare?
Well, not really. I would actually like to take, can I stop this share? And we can, so did the share stop?
Yeah, you are much bigger now.
I'm sorry about that. So you will sleep it away. Well, not really. Since we have different kinds of vehicles other than cars, that's for one. And then you have us in the direct building. So we can be in a locked cellar, so allocated just for the people living in that building, exclusively giving them the possibility to rent our vehicles, for an example. So car sharing or carpooling as a phenomenon, yeah, we're definitely in the same branch, but I definitely wouldn't say that we're competing with each other, especially not in Sweden where we are now, since they're not competing with us here.
So I have another question here, which is more like an observation. So it says NCC is missing. Are we not on board? I guess
Uh,
it's one of the NCC guys.
If you're one of the NCC guys, you just send me a mail and I'll make sure that you. We have dialogues as of now with NCC regarding a couple of big projects. So nothing closed, so nothing to put up on that slide. But our business model definitely would suit commercial buildings and real estates like NCC is building primary. Yeah.
I have another question here. Do you only do electrical vehicles or biogas?
I lagged a bit. I didn't get the whole question, but I think that
do you only do electric vehicles or do you do biogas as well?
Yeah, we only do electrical vehicles as of today. There's really nothing to it other than when we started, we said that carpools, they are put out in the urban cities where we have a lot of living people, and it's primarily there that cars will be running around. So we want to put out vehicles that are emission-free during the drive. So what we do, it's debated when it comes to the batteries of electrical cars, but what we do what we can when it comes to that standpoint. So for each and every carpool that we implement, we actually engage in a tree planting project to compensate for the CO2 that it's emitted for the production of the car as well. So as of now, we're actually CO2 neutral thanks to that. Yeah.
Excellent. We have more questions, but we don't have more time, my friend. So we have to stop there.
Right.
Thank you so much, Kenneth.
Thank you. My pleasure.
People will get your contact details afterwards, so you will be contacted by many, I hope. Thank you so much.
Oh, hopefully. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
To our next speaker, again, Sebastian, are you around?
Yes, I'm around.
Great.
Hello. Hey.
Good. Share your screen, please, and take it away.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so my name is Sebastian. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Greenlytics. So what we do is we work with weather analytics, so meteorological data, targeting the power and utilities industry, but we see a lot of potential also in the real estate sector. So this is our team, amazing team. We're sitting at Things in Stockholm. It's me and Mihai, who are co-founder with 6 persons in total in areas of analytics, weather data, and energy. So this is really our core of the company. So what we do is combine these fields, so the meteorology, data, and energy, and we try to partner up with other organizations, utilities, or corporates, so that we can create magic together. Because we really believe that we are part of the puzzle, but needs others to create the whole solution. Let's see here. Oops. Okay. So what do we do? Well, what we do is that we collect weather data, so data from all types of meteorological institutes, SMHI, Vyer, you name it. And then we match that data with historical business data from our customers. So this business data can be, consumption data for real estate, for electricity. So how much electricity did it use in different times of the year or in different situations, times of the day, etc. And we used machine learning or AI to do that matching. But this business data can also be other types of data. I'm thinking for a real estate developer or construction company like NCC. I imagine that weather has an impact on construction activities. So basically what we could do here as well is actually to forecast and see what is the impact of weather on delays of construction activities. So this is really any kind of business data. And then with this mapping, we can then forecast into the future, not what the weather is going to be like, but what is the business impact is going to be like. And using this business impact forecast, we can take critical decisions that lowers the negative impacts of the weather on the business. So that's really what we're about. And I mentioned that we use machine learning and artificial intelligence, but really, if that's not needed, we're happy to do some small calculations to get the job done. So the right tool for the right job. So some reference projects. So we were in the ABB Industrial AI Accelerator last year. and we were sourced out of more than 100 startups all over Europe. And what we did was they came to us, ABB, and they said, okay, we have this, building in Western Germany. It's actually a ABB factory. Busch Jaeger is a subsidiary to ABB. And they decided to install a 1.5 megawatt peak solar plant on the rooftop, on the parking lot, to have it as a rooftop of the parking lot. And they could then charge electric vehicles. They had batteries on the site, and they also have some flexibility in the load that they have in the factory. So what they can do then is that they can optimize for electricity prices to make sure that the electricity is as cheap as possible. They can optimize for reducing of greenhouse gas emissions by importing less brown electricity, and they can also increase the reliability of the site by having this self-consumption aspect to it. And what ABB asked us to do was, can you provide us with a solar power forecast, so a weather impact of this system, so that we can optimize it? And that's what we did. So we developed what we call a solar mind to forecast and optimize the process of solar power generation at the site. It works like this. So we take in data from weather and satellite data, and we process it using machine learning, and then we create a forecast. And here is a small video of how it could look like. So just putting up some coordinates and then putting it the capacity of the site, and then dragging and dropping the historical business data, and then up you go, and your machine learning model is trained automatically in the background, and there you go with your forecast that you can put into other systems for optimization or business decisions. So the result was that we reduced the forecast error by 30%, and that led to a reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions at the site with about 15%. And we won the ABB Industrial AI Accelerator as a effect of this work. So now we're looking at how we can take this concept further. And I will tell you just about the project that we are not working with, but that we are interested in and looking into, and see how we could potentially help in this project. And that is Skellefteå Kraft Kulturhus. So Skellefteå Kulturhus is building up the world's most smartest house when it comes to energy, heat, and water. And ABB is going to provide the control system for that house. And then, of course, we at Greenlytics, we see, could our technology then help this control system to become even smarter? So what we could do there is that we could potentially, give the solar forecast. We could give heat forecast to know how much heat is needed at which point in time, as well as giving flexibility forecast to know how to handle the batteries, and maybe to use the batteries not only for optimizing on the building site, but also building into localized energy markets that are popping up now all over Sweden. So there's a lot of different value streams that you can plug into. We also are looking into another concept about use this with increased energy efficiency in buildings, because there's a lot of companies out there, which is great, that are improving the energy efficiency of buildings. But one of the challenge is that when you install such a system for optimizing the buildings, it's very hard to evaluate how well it performed. So if you would go and install an optimization system that improved the efficiency of the building, and then you maybe hire some consultants, some contractors to ask them, how much did we save on the energy bill given this new system? Then if you go to 3 different ones, they will probably give you 3 different answers. And why is this? Well, the reason for this is because maybe you installed your system before this winter, and then this winter turned out to be very mild, not very cold. Then per default, your energy bill will be much less. But it's not maybe because of the optimization system, it's actually because of the temperature and the environment. So you need to control for all these different factors. On top of this, it's very hard to know if you ask the actual optimization provider to calculate this value, is not very transparent. So what is coming up now is a code that is open source, and it's developed by the Open Linux Foundation Energy, foundation that is basically an open source code on how to make a standard for calculating building efficiency savings. So it's completely transparent and open. And of course, this code needs weather data as input. And that's where we at Greenlytics come in. So we're now adapting this code and we want to run it and to see how this can create value and actually help building owners to pay for performance of these systems. So basically have a transparent and unified way of calculating efficiency improvements and then paying for them. So here is how it could work. So typically you have a pre-measure period where you didn't have any optimization system or any smart building plugged in. And then at some point you plugged in your smart building or your smart optimization system and you have efficiency gains. And then you want to make a comparison for the baseline period compared to the reporting period. And of course, this has to also take into account environmental factors and other types of factors. So that is what our code and together with this open source transparent calculation can do. Some other benefits of using this is that you can actually use the same code to try to, as I mentioned, back test and pay for performance of the optimization system that you have plugged in today. But also, even before you have a smart building up and running, you can use the code to basically benchmark in your portfolio which are the buildings that are most likely to have high efficiency improvements if you would make it into a smart building. So, and we are very much early in this. So we're looking now for the first early adopters of this new product that we're looking into building up. So the first 2 requests that we have, we will do a free test using our data and this open source code. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. And here are my contact details. Thank you so much.
I love that you do a call for action. That's very good. So do we have any questions? We have a little bit of time. Let me see here. Yes, we have. No, that was not the question. There was something else. Can you tell us very briefly about the stage of your company from an investment point of view? We have a lot of investors with us today.
Okay, so we are a pre-seed bootstrap company. We're now looking for early seed investors or angels to basically run paid pilots throughout 2020. We're looking to run 5 of these paid pilots. We have 1 secured with a big utility company in Germany. And then we're going to take a seed investment on 2021 to scale more internationally and more aggressively outwards.
Great. We have time for a quick question that came in here. So Sebastian, do you have a preferred market where you want to grow?
I mean, yes, of course. So, I mean, we have a strong network and I see a lot of applicability with our technology in energy. But we also recognize that our technology could be used in other markets. So we're starting in the energy sector, and then we're going to grow out from there.
Okay, great. I think we have to stop there. Time is running out. Thank you so much, Sebastian. Please share your screen so we can move forward. To our next speaker, who is Patrik Nyström, CEO and co-founder of Local Life. Are you there, Patrik?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Oh, you are, definitely. Great. Share your screen and take it away.
Thank you. Let's go. Okay, so everyone can see this. It's working, yeah? Yes? Okay, I'll take that as yes. Magnus, we're okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so my name is Patrik. I'm CEO of Local Life. We are a prop tech company founded here at KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden. So we build a digital ecosystem for smart and sustainable cities. So just a short background on what that means. I mean, in the background here, there are 2.5 billion people moving into urban areas into the year 2050. That's a lot of people moving into the cities. We also know that they are building about 500,000 new apartments in Sweden in the next 10 years. That's also a lot of apartments. And as everyone knows, the cities are the key to climate adaptation. And there are some figures down here that you can see that the importance on the impact of cities. So we are focused on cities here. And I know when we have heard it here before, there are a lot of smart solutions for this when you can do automatically things. And if you have just between buildings and machines, there's a perfect ways. But if you want to involve people somehow in your service or in your function, you often have a big problem, because it's not about technology, it's about the people. If you want to have maybe less energy use at the same time, so the grid doesn't got overflow at the same time, or if you use maybe vacuum system for waste removal, and you want people to throw some stuff in that basket and some stuff in that basket, all these kinds of things. So if you were ever reporting, you can't make an app for everything. People don't want more apps in their life. You lack an interface between all the technology in the city to the residents. You have nothing to connect it with there. And also a lot of good things is working to smarter and sustainable city, but they're made in silos. For example, the sharing economy is a perfect example of that. Some property owners, they want to have the sharing economy. But if you have a sharing economy with only maybe 200 tenants, it's impossible. You have to reach a more critical mass. You can't think about a specific area or a specific building. You have to think about the whole city. The third problem is attention. I mean, even if you have a great product and you're doing it in a bigger area, how can you get people to see this, to get their attention? There are lots of like new stuff out there that's very fun. You use it a little time and then you stop it. It's called the honeymoon effect. But if you want to make a real impact, you have to have a long-term attention. So these are kind of the problems that we are focusing on. And who are we? As I said, we are based on KTH in Stockholm, Sweden. We have done a lot of research on this, and we also have lots of demos how to solve these issues. And we have also launched our first solution here in Norra Djurgårdsstaden in Stockholm. So the big question is then, maybe it's a drum, what is the solution to this problem? Well, the solution, my friends, is this: a digital ecosystem for city districts and housing areas. And I'm going to walk you through this solution. It's a bit complicated, but I will try to do my best here. The first step that we do, imagine a city district, maybe 5,000 apartments or something like that. The first thing that we do is we're connecting the area here. And by connecting, I mean, of course, the residents, but also the property owners and partners and suppliers. If you get them both in the digital network and also the physical network, you get good stuff. You get critical mass, you get economics of scales, and you get good cooperation possibilities. And if you have that foundation to stand on, if you have this interface, you can easily get new services and create value processes. And what do I mean by new services? You know, for example, booking of all the facilities in the area. Booking system is easy. The sharing economy is one thing, but the new thing that's really good is access economy. And what do I mean by that? For example, if you have Clas Ohlson, they can get a little storage in the middle of this area, then they can have tools that the residents can borrow for a small sum. That is hard to get something profitable in that if you don't have a critical mass. You have to get the people together. And when you do this, you create value for people in their ordinary lives. And when you create value for people, you get their long-term attention. And the good thing with long-term attention is it's possible to make behavioral changes. Because if we're going to manage the climate crisis, we have to change our way of living. But you can't do that in like a 1 month or 3 months project. You have to have a long-term thinking. And so that's like the secret sauce in this. Create value for the users and then change the behaviors. our customer is mainly property owners, both private and bigger ones. And so the effects for them and for the effect for people living in this area are lower maintenance costs, new revenue streams, and of course, more attractive area. That's for the property owner side. For people living there, I think it's quite obvious. People are in this system together, so social capital, people are helping each other, your everyday life gets easier. And of course, if you share more stuff and if you recycle better, it's better for the climate. And if you look how this is not all of the parts, but a part of the ecosystems, the services that we have. I've mentioned some already. And when we go to services, peer-to-peer, as I said, that's neighbors helping out each other. It could be a dog watcher, it could be a cat watcher, be babysitter, and so on. That you helping people who live close to each other. You can also have visualization of energy, waste, and water. Lots of things are doing that, but it's hard if you try to have a standalone product for that. But if you connect your product into the ecosystem, you get much more attention. And if you have a smart city solution in some way, you can connect it to our ecosystem, and then you will get the people's attention. Because what we are doing here to get people's attention, we are producing local news. We have like an own news paper for the area. We have community management that we create events and so on to help people to get together in this area. Yeah, so that's about it. We have launched our first solution here in Djurgårdsstaden, and it's working really, really good. We see this is a bit of it's a long-term project. You have to have a long-term engagement in it, but it's working great. So if you're a property owner, housing developer, or a smart city supplier, I would love to talk to you about this. That's about it, I think. Magnus, you're on mute.
Thank you. It must my boss who muted me. So thank you so much. And let's see if we have any questions for you. And meanwhile, can you just say something about your business model?
Yes. So we are creating a lot of value with this system, but most value is actually for the people or companies who owns properties. So the property owners they are members in this network, so they pay a members fee for this. So it's not, they have their own system in their buildings that they control with all the things, and then they pay a members fee to be in the ecosystem for the whole area.
Good. And what's the stage of your company from a, let's say, more financial point of view? Investment point of view, I mean?
We have seed money. We have just closed another round here. So one is always looking for more money, of course, but for the time being, we're quite happy where we are.
Okay. Great. And I think you should also, you probably also have to just mention or describe what is Djurgårdsstaden in Stockholm, because most people don't know that, I guess.
Of course, no. It's one of the latest big housing areas in Stockholm. It's going to be like about 15,000 apartments, and they are very focused on just both having a social capital, people knowing each other, be safe and secure, and of course on the environment. So it's a front-end project in Stockholm.
Okay, great. So we stop there. Thank you so much, Patrik. And please unshare your screen, and we're going to jump on to our next speaker. Is Ludvig around?
I'm here.
Great. So now we make a big point that things we try to work across Sweden as more like a national initiative or player. The Sweden is so tiny, and we have to work together. So it's a great pleasure to have people from basically all over the country here. And now we are in Linköping, if I remember correctly.
Yes, we are. So I will share my screen. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Great. So Spotscale, we produce the world's most detailed models based on drone imagery. I want to show you a recent example of our work. So this is the courthouse in Helsingborg. And when you zoom in, you can see the extreme detail that we can leverage both on web and mobile. And this is based on drone imagery. And I want to stress that we're not flying any drones. We're just taking drone imagery and process it on the cloud to make it useful for others. So our vision is to drive our computer vision and machine learning to the stage where we can actually, with AI, understand the building. We want to understand the surfaces, the condition of the surfaces, and the value of the surfaces. And we know that owners of these buildings, and infrastructure, they need to take decisions on when to renovate, because otherwise bad things will happen. You might remember this tragic tragedy in Italy where you had a bridge coming down. And you have lots of old concrete out in the world that is really hard to inspect, and it's on high distances. So there's not really a method to look for the cracks. So climbing is what they do today, and they use binoculars to try to see where they have problems in the concrete. But the drones are just a revolutionary tool to get all the data that's needed. But so far, there has not been a method to bring out that nice and high resolution data in a good way, and we've done that. Another thing that is a big problem is cracking facades. So if you look at buildings not so much in Sweden, but in UK and other parts of Europe, you see that there's a lot of problems. In New York City, there was a person actually killed by a facade that was cracking. So it is a problem, and it is a problem to understand the status of the facades higher up. I mean, of course, on street level, you can see, but as soon as it's above like 3-4 floors, it's really hard to understand the condition of the facades. So that is a problem. And the third problem I want to bring up is leaking roofs. So roofs are not only leaking water, but they're also leaking heat. And the buildings consume 40% of the total energy and the CO2 emissions in the world. So there's a lot to do on insulation on buildings. So I wanted to bring up a model that we produced for a client in Malmö. And this is just an ordinary multi-dwelling unit where people live. But they wanted to repair the roofs and the facades. So the good thing with our platform is that the building owner can actually share this with different builders, and they can quote using this data. So everybody's quoting with the same data, and that is great. So what the builder can do is that the builder can go and measure and say, well, how much roof area is it on this part, and so forth. But this gets tedious. You can just imagine how long time it takes to quantify this whole facade. So there we have a method. So what is called quantification takeoffs. And we do that with machine learning. So if I click on the labeling here, we have actually figured out the total facade area just by using machine learning. If I click on this part, see that this is 30 square meters out of the total 1,000 square meters of the building. We have this for the windows, for the doors, and for the roof. And this is actually rather unique. We haven't seen anyone on the market actually do these quantification takeoffs in a machine learning automated fashion. And of course, the builder then can make notes and say, well, this roof part would be $5,000. And they can do that all over the building. So you get a very clear picture of what is it I mean, because people mean different things. So one builder might quote totally different items than the other. So this gives comparability in that sense. But we also do larger buildings, and that becomes a much bigger challenge, because then you have to parallelize the processing on a lot of cloud computers. So in this case, this is the University Hospital of Linköping, and this is great for localizing things, because now it's getting hard to find where is that particular window, or where is that particular part that I'm looking for. So in asset management planning, we know that just for sending a repairman, we're having a vision of where did I repair and where I'm going to repair. We can make a notation and say, well, this window here, window repaired 2020 in May. You can save these notes and you can collaborate around this information. And when it comes to these larger plants, we're happy to announce that we just signed a partnership with Core, who is the largest asset management company in the Nordics. And they're going to bring our technology out to all their plants in the Nordics. So we're happy for that. And due to our technique, we're not only getting customers in Sweden, but we do have customers from all over the world. We have cranes in Hamburg that we process. We do silos in Australia. We do a harbor in Japan. And we do high-rise buildings in Boston. So everyone in the world are sending us images, their drone images, so we can produce this in our platform. And that's rather nice. One thing that is crucial for some application, I mentioned concrete before, is the resolution. So there has not been a way so far to actually leverage this brutal resolution for the whole chimney as a whole. So what you see is that when I zoom in, I stream different level of details, and I get more and more pixels coming the more I zoom in. We're actually down to 1 millimeter on this chimney, and the concrete expert who is actually analyzing this for the real estate owner is super happy, because he can see very small cracks, which he couldn't see before. It takes a lot of time to go over this to analyze the whole thing, and of course you can make notes and measure here too. So this is a totally new way to do the concrete inspection. So one thing that I'm even more prouder of, that is even more world unique, is the thermal layering. And I mentioned leakages before. This is a warehouse in Motala, Sweden, and the real estate owners that knows that he has leakages coming out of this building, but he doesn't know really where, because there are hidden leakages. What I can do is to flip over to a thermal layer, and in this thermal layer, you can actually see hidden things that the eye can't see on this facade. You can see that there are cold bridges, so there's actually heat coming out of the wall, where you don't see any suspicious suspicious items in the regular image. But this is with thermal images, you can actually measure the temperature difference between this point and that point, and it makes a lot of sense. So then you can take renovation decisions and say, well, if I do renovate, if I do insulate here, this is going to save me so and so much on the energy bill, and this can save millions all over Sweden. So we're so super happy and are pushing this really hard now for the winter season coming. So you might wonder about our pricing. So I'm going to just fast go through how the pricing works. So first, the customer pays for the creation and the processing of the 3D model, which is then based on the size and the complexity of the building, and the quality, the resolution you want, and also what, if you collect the images yourself, or if Spotscale has to hire a drone pilot to do it for you. Then we have a yearly subscription. So each year you pay to have the model in our platform and all the tools that I showed. So one example of a pricing could be, for example, for this housing building that I showed before, is around $2,000 to $5,000. Then the pilot fee is included, and also you get 1 year of usage of the platform. And then next year you pay $1,000 for having it in the platform furthermore. When mentioning tools, I wanted to show you some last tools that is interesting. So while you have the 3D model in your possession, if you're a real estate owner, we know that you might want to do changes from time to time. And on this entrance, for example, you might want to try out how would it work to make a bicycle shed. So if I do this, I can place a foundation, and this can be done in any web browser and even on the mobile. And I can insert objects from BIM object that has a catalog of a lot of manufacturers' different items. So here you have this shed, and I can clone that, and I can do that. So we don't want to replace fancy photo montage, but for real estate owners to have discussions and understand space and understand what they can do with their space is an important feature, an interesting feature, while you have the model and paid for it. Other functions include actually changing the roof to other roof tiles, which we now have developed a function for, and also to place solar panels on the roof. So you can actually see how would solar panels appear. So these are the last tools I wanted to show. We're always looking for resellers and customers. You're welcome to contact us for a quote.
Excellent.
And I also encourage you to go to our demo page, which is demo.spotscale.com, and there you can play around with the models and the tools yourself, even on the mobile. It works excellent on your mobile. So take a glass of wine tomorrow and zoom around and enjoy the resolution. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ludvig. Let's see if there are any questions. We have a little bit of time. I think this is really impressive, and if you're going to do this wine thing, just use the simulation part. Don't do this in the real life. That sounds dangerous on roofs and things. So we have a question here somewhere. Where are we here? So have you done any proof of concept, such as a condition surveying for bridges in concrete, for instance?
I can't comment on that. That's confidential. But
Okay.
yeah.
The questioner should contact you afterwards to get any questions to hand. That's fine. And from let's talk about the investors again. So what about your financial status of the company and so forth? Are you looking for investors, or where are you?
Yeah, so we're late seed. Last year we were 70% filling the cash, so we're almost cash flow neutral. We do have some nice grants from Vinnova and Energimyndigheten and Production 2030. So yeah, we will raise money sooner or later. Probably starting in autumn again to raise a little bit more of money. But so far we're doing quite well on revenue and have some large projects coming in.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we stop. No, here's a last question. Are you in the industrial industry like oil and gas for brownfield preventive maintenance?
Yeah, so that's one of the items we're working with UK companies. There's a lot of oil and gas in UK. We also through obviously through the partnership with Core that I mentioned before. It's public that they are working with oil and gas companies. So of course that is leading us that way. Perfect.
So we stop there. Thank you so much, Ludvig, and please unshare your screen so we can allow our friend Gothenburg to join.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, there you are.
So
Stefan,
I assume it's Talkpool next then.
Yes.
So, hi, my name is Stefan Lindgren and I'm the CTO of Talkpool. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
No,
So,
we see your screen. We see you on the screen. So,
okay, you don't see the screen as well?
no, you have to say share screen.
I thought I did that. Okay, it's share as well, not just. So,
yeah, this looks better. There, here we go. Thank you.
Perfect. We are a listed company, been around since year 2000, and what we're doing is that we build all kinds of infrastructure, and done that since year 2000. And since the last 5-6 years ago, we've been focused very much on IoT and on sensors. And we're doing that with, especially with the LoRaWAN sensors, but also other cellular technologies, where we both are doing solutions, but we also are designing and manufacturing the devices. The IT core centers are in Sweden, in Gothenburg. But we are an international company, so the group is have about 1/3 of the revenue in Europe, 1/3 in Latin America, and 1/3 in Middle East and Africa. The technology on IoT, we've been working a lot with LoRa, and we've been working and running nationwide network since 2016. And we are currently have a good coverage in all over Stockholm, Gothenburg, Malmö, Uppsala, and then we have a lot of project-based coverage as well. So the IoT coverage is not an issue. We are always solving that. Some of our IoT customers, so we're very much into the smart building space. So we're very proud of the collaboration with many of the prime companies. When it comes to do like NCC, where we're working with their sustainability group, a lot about how to make sure that the buildings are sustainable, that they don't face problems with high humidity or water damages and similar. Working a lot with Atrium Ljungberg, where we do a lot of sub-metering and so on. And I will go through some of the different cases that make sense of within smart buildings. And smart buildings is the most important part of our portfolio. We are also active within smart industries, where we've been working a lot, for example, in the oil and gas part, connecting refineries and also industrial parks. and also in the smart city. And in the smart city is a lot of environmental supervision that we are doing. But a big part of the smart cities are smart buildings, and also the city itself is often a big property owner and has also a lot of different production facilities that is more like a smart industry. Since we are more working in the lower part of the digital infrastructure, where we're doing a lot of the physical connection of sensor, we are collecting data from the physical world, if it's the water consumption in a building, energy, air quality, and so on. And then we are harmonizing that data and push it up into the cloud, where we can do storage, analytics, and so on. And then we are often cooperating with other companies that is doing the different AI-based solutions for getting the end learning. Since our expertise is really on the radio security connectivity part, and then we are trying to work together with some of the prime domain experts in the different parts. So we see that we are always getting the right knowledge and not just presenting a figure, but also understanding how to interpret that data, and also how to bring that data to actual business value, which is sometimes missing in my view. Smart buildings is a very interesting part, and as all of you know, it's a huge amount of value in the buildings and big potential for investments. The buildings are also having the massive, they are up for digitalization, and most companies are realizing that, and it's not totally new for them. The IoT is only making so much easier to do the digitalization and optimization that they have been on working for so long time, but often in different proprietary solutions or within different silos. So for example, they have one system for digitalization access control, and another way for doing the water invoicing, and a third way to do electricity invoicing. But that not really been possible to connect the different systems and really draw the full benefits of it. And also that since it's been proprietary systems, it's also been fairly costly compared to what is offered now on the market. When it comes to buildings, the biggest interest, at least in the Nordics, but also in the Middle East, that is energy savings, reduction of carbon dioxide footprint. And what we're doing there is that we are installing different types of sensors, for example, carbon dioxide sensors, which is wireless sensors that we can mount in existing buildings very easily. And these are giving the data of how many people that is in the room, how much is it fresh air, and then we are connecting that to the existing BIM system, whether it's a Schneider HVAC system or whatever. And then we can optimize the energy consumption based on the load, how fresh air it is. And also to see that we're not over ventilating, for example, when the conference room is empty or when people are working from home due to Corona or similar. In the also district heating is an interesting part where you can see, for example, in the buildings, they are a huge potential for saving energy within the core of the building, within the structure of the building. So in many places in Sweden, we have a lack of a problem to handle the peak power takeout in the system. And the buildings, if they have good knowledge of their building, how they are behaving, and also knowing the demand side from the utility companies, there is a huge potential to reduce the output of heating into the buildings during peak hours. For example, when at 3, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, when people are getting home, starting to cook the meals, starting to charging the electrical cars and so on, where most of the grid are overloaded. then, for example, buildings can reduce their consumption needs during that time, and then taking away or lower these peaks. While doing savings, we are also improving the air quality, and air quality improvements is one big reason by itself as well. So there we are measuring the different gases. We are also measuring particles. Within the industries, there is often that, for example, if you do molding or grinding, that you're getting a lot of very fine particles. That, of course, is very harmful to the health. So these are also captured with particle sensors to it. We're also in collaboration with a lot within the research organizations to see how we can getting additional sensors. So new news will come here early autumn, where we will be launching a new product also addressing the health and air quality parts. Another important part in our offerings that is different types of billings. So, for example, billing of water meter to automate this one. So this is a small apartment meter, and then we have the really huge one for the buildings or for the utility companies. We have also installing a lot of electricity meters, energy meters, gas meters, steam meters, etc. And this is both to understand the full load, or to connect the full building to understand what are consumed. And it's also used for the green building certification, where it's needed to know the exact consumption of a building and also how to optimize it. And it's quite often that even if you have one building, you have 1 meters from the utility company, it's not always that you can match that towards the green building certification that is needed. Either that you have defined the building a bit differently, that the utility company are not willing to share the information as which meters connects to which buildings, and also to divide what is consumption electricity to the tenants and what is going for the building itself. So green building certification is starting to getting more and more attraction, and by having the online sensors, it's very easy to do that also in existing buildings where you don't have the wiring infrastructure. But since most of our sensors are battery driven and wireless, then it's very easy to do installation or midlife improvements of the system. And often it is the old buildings where you have the greatest saving potential. And the last part when it comes to smart buildings, that is damage prevention. So there we are working a lot with both the NCC, with insurance companies, with Anticimex and others, to see how we can prevent damages in the buildings. It can be, for example, in making sure that we don't have proper ventilation in the roofs, in the outer roof constructions, which is often a weak point, or in the normal single houses, the basements, where it's also a risk for molding. With the temperature, humidity, time, and some algorithm, we can predict to see where it's a risk for this, and how to reduce where you should do an activity to avoid the risk to getting additional damages. And when it comes to the air quality, then yeah, I think I've pretty much covered all of this. I'll skip that, see that in shorter time a little bit. Going into some of the use cases here. So this is some data that we got from the current heating season. This is a small commercial building from 1962, fairly small, 12,000 square meters. The rents about 19 millions, and the energy cost is 75,000 Swedish crowns. There we installed 70 carbon dioxide sensors. We added these sensors as native devices in the Schneider HVAC system. And the depreciated cost is about 45,000 Swedish crowns per year. This year, it was fairly low reduction. It was only 8% on the district heating and about 15% on the electricity. And this is because it was quite mild, and we are always comparing towards other buildings, so we can compensate a little bit for the temperature, not with the advanced method that the other presenter is doing, but still with compared. But still we see that we have a return on investment for this one, even with this small saving of 35%. So for when it's getting a colder winter and larger buildings, then of course we are getting even higher savings. And when it comes to like automation of building and certification, green building certification, for example, BREEAM, this is a commercial district in Stockholm. It's an old industrial area from 1868 was founded. And there we're doing all the building automation, green building certification, and the approximate cost for doing this is 25,000 crowns per year in depreciated cost. And just by saving the interest point, which the building is getting into the international market for buildings, so the valuation of the building increases, and then you can also getting lower interest of your rates. So it is approximately 3.7 million Swedish crown per year in saving in interest. So it's really a no-brainer for most companies to start doing this for the buildings. And to wrap up, so the offerings that we are doing, that is, we are doing a lot within smart building, the full solutions. We are designing and producing wireless sensors and meters, and we are also, in some cases, adding with third-party meters as well. And we're also a design partner. For example, we are working together with Sensair, where we've done the Sensair is a leading company when it comes to carbon dioxide sensors. So we provide the electronics and the radio parts, and they are bringing their expertise within the air quality. When it comes to water meters, we're working with B meters, where we have their expertise and their production of the different water meters, and we helping them, making them intelligent. And we are just will launch a product with Purus here that is addressing water damages in buildings. To get started within IoT, either to try out these solutions or so on, please contact me. And you have my contact details here, and I assume that Magnus and team will share the presentations and so on afterwards. Any questions?
We are short of time, Stefan. Thank you so much. I have one question for you here. Have you been working with any sensors to capture space utilization?
No, not so far. No, we are more into the building maintenance and not so much about space occupation.
Okay. I think we have to stop there, Stefan. Thank you so much. Don't forget to unshare your screen. And we're going to jump to our final speaker. Nils, are you there?
I am.
Great. So share your screen and take it away, please.
Will do. Thank you. There we go. So, hey everyone. Nils Berglund.
Camera, if you like. That's very bad. It's better if that's possible.
Sorry.
Turn on your camera. That's better. I think it's gives a better impression.
Sure.
There you are. Great.
There we go. So yeah, my name is Nils Berglund. I'm co-founder and CEO of Vyer. We essentially work to empower building professionals. So anyone working within a building, for maintenance, making sure that buildings work as they should. So what you're looking at now is our product. It's a progressive web app, so you can access it from both mobile and desktop. And it's just to essentially explain the user experience. It's like a Google Maps, but for your building. So instead of searching for restaurants or parks, as you might do in Google Maps, you are instead searching for technical equipment stored within that building. And as you can see here, we also work with live data. So we work a lot with doing integrations to other systems that store information on temperature. So for instance, maybe connecting into Talkpool and Stefan's gang. So essentially just bringing different sources of information together, making it accessible to facility managers. So the reason we do this is because basically there's so much fun to be doing in building maintenance, because the state of information management is pretty poor. And I think one of our end users, Martin Haglund, defined the problem very well, which is that diagnosing and locating a problem within a building can take 5 hours, but fixing it takes only 15 minutes. So the point being that if an alarm breaks out that we need to fix an elevator or a card reader, just locating that very card reader can take the bigger portion of the day, while fixing it is a quick measure. And the reason for that is just because information is spread out over many different papers, many different floor plans, many different softwares, and it just becomes confusing knowing where to find the information you might need in your everyday work. So we make it simple and quick to bring all this information together into your phone. So today we mapped about 500,000 square meters of commercial real estate, and this is one of our customers, which I think this is one of the more important numbers, which is that 85% of the operational staff actually has an account with the Vyer platform, where they go to find information on fire equipment, ventilation equipment, and about tenants. So really bringing all this information together. And the benefit is basically just more efficient maintenance, because instead of driving to a building to look up, the manufacturer of that elevator, you just bring out your phone, and even if you don't know the article number for that elevator, which you usually would have struggled with to find in a system, now you can just click the elevator that intuitively you need to look up. And all the functionalities on filtering and searching that you would expect is of course available. So this also makes quicker actions and just quicker reactions to issues. And the really exciting thing is seeing this shift from the more reactive to a more preventive maintenance work. So of course, there's a lot of information in a building. So the big question is here, how do you get all that information into a building? And how do you do that for many buildings? So basically our whole product is part of an evolution that is ongoing right now in the construction and design of buildings. So whenever NCC is producing a new building, they are also building it digitally in a BIM model. So we're able to take these BIM models and upload them to our software, which basically just takes this available data and makes it easy to search and find from a non-BIM professional. So it's angled towards the facility maintenance. But what really sets us apart is this thing that most buildings, 99 of 100 don't have a BIM model. So that's why we help our customers to mass produce BIM models from existing floor plans at large scales. Even though having a BIM model is a great thing to do, and getting it from NCC with all the data it contains is fantastic, it's not a requirement to get started to get a digital twin of all your buildings. You're also, of course, able to map a lot of information already on the map view, on the portfolio view. So the way all this information is mapped into these buildings is basically by using the knowledge of your coworkers, essentially crowdsourcing. So maybe in the past, if you wanted to create one of these 3D models for your maintenance crew, you might bring in a bunch of consultants that that would help map the building. But now, because we made it so user-friendly to map, oh, here's a card reader, here's a fire extinguisher, we've shifted it. So instead of one person mapping 100 buildings, you have 100 people mapping 100 buildings, and they're all experts on their own buildings. So it's quick, it's reliable, and it's an insurance for the future, because things change in buildings all the time. So you sort of hit the ground running with your staff and colleagues being able to update information where it needs to be updated. So the most important thing at the end of the line is having our customers basically come at this realization that the staff takes better decision and are able to work more efficiently. We've been blessed to work with some fantastic commercial real estate owners that really help us drive this innovation, and basically this is what we're looking for more property owners. So if you are a property owner that has a big portfolio of buildings and you're eager to throw us a challenge, please reach out, and we'd love to set you up with a demo account. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful, Neil. Thank you so much. Let me see if we have any questions on the chat. Not right now. So let me ask you, so what kind of stage is your company in?
We've been around for 3 years. We've always been profitable, but we raised some outside capital this year just to get some great owners into the team and be able to focus more on growth.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about your business model? How do you actually charge for this?
Yeah, sure. So primarily we charge as a software as a service for storing these BIM files. So I can imagine that Jan, I think, who's here from NCC, you're having a great deal of these BIM models being sort of left to the facility owner, the property owner. But we help them make use of that model. So it's just the storage of the model on our platform. But then also it's the conversion of 2D floor plans to 3D models. And thirdly, it's more specific work with clients where we extract information from other systems, other databases, and visualize them through our platform. So that kind of API integration work is also a third revenue stream.
Brilliant. So let me see. Now we don't have any more questions. So thank you so much, Nils. Please share your screen. So with that, my friends, we are at the end of this bazaar, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. I can confess, I actually love to listen to those spectacular companies every single time. And I always feel very good when we're ahead in the bazaar and it's over. Please remember what you've seen and done. You will get an email from us where we ask you to provide some feedback if you like, but it also includes all the contact details for all the companies presenting. And feel free to contact them, obviously, but you can also contact me if you have any questions or need some help, or if you wonder what we are doing more generically, things, how you become a member as a large company or a small company or whatever you like. I do my best to respond. I also would like to remind you that we have another eBazaar, the 17th of May, on the topic of smart mobility, which is, most of those things actually fit together one way or another. So smart cities and smart mobility belongs to the same kind of topic in a sense. So with all of that, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.